And we're live as Holly continues to fail to pull back a Nerf gun. You see it,
No, I got it! I got it! Okay, there. Do I load it like this?
Yes.
Okay.
Now you gotta push the thing forward.
Figured it out.
Push that forward and just stand by.
There.
And now, fail to shoot it.
I'm just waiting to see if you try to shoot me.
And as we've got a mutually assured
enforcement
destruction situation over here.
I just had this as an enforcement tool. Hello, everyone.
Mutually assured destruction prevented World War III for several decades. It wasn't a good plan, but it worked.
Is it so wrong that I enjoy Hungry Hungry Hippos?
Yes.
When you enjoy it so very loudly.
How else are you supposed to enjoy it except for aggressively and loudly?
So that's William. He's in charge of
hi.
With fine etiquette.
I'm William, and I am the storyteller dungeon master for this World of Warcraft RPG 5th edition campaign. And joining me today we have Stan.
Hi, I'm Stan, and I'm trying to play
Austin, could you kindly adjust that camera slightly to the left?
slightly to the left.
To the left, to the left.
There's a spider web here,
Everything you
too.
own in a box to the left.
Yes.
Why do we still have
There you
spider
go.
webs?
Right there.
Okay, I'm going to try to play Josh, the
And slightly down.
goblin
Because currently looking at the lights.
techno mystic.
You should have adjusted this before we started.
Should have.
We should have.
But
Right
we're
there.
professionals.
We're professionals?
Preparationals?
No, we're not professionals. Professionals are very different people.
Ever so slightly, just need to tip it down one more.
Here, well, it's going to be difficult for you to
yeah,
do that
go ahead.
and see what you're doing
And
from
Zach.
over there.
Oh, yeah. I'm
Right there. It went back up. Yeah, right there. Good. Zach.
I'm a person. I'm Zach. I'm playing Leaf Ironmender, the half-orc tinker priest of the Holy Light, if that's relevant.
And Rudy.
Hey, I'm Rudy. I'm playing Break Earth Whisperer, Tauren Runemaster, and also Runemaster Knight.
Rune Knight.
Or
And
Rune Knight.
Austin, whose character's name I will reiterate is Jang Atal.
Hey guys, I'm Austin, and I'm playing the troll of the party. He is a hunter. He has Sneckfriend. Sneckfriend is a good friend to all, and he solves all of the team's wildlife survival issues.
Could the two of you slide just ever so much to your right? Because your head is currently partially blocked by a mic.
Oh,
There you go.
That would be me.
No, it's Austin's head is blocked by a mic. Don't do that to your neck. Now your head is blocked by Sneckfriend, but I feel like that's okay.
That's appropriate.
And Holly.
Hi,
James
I'm Holly. I'm playing Shiana Flamecarver. She is an orc. She is... Sorry. She is an assassin orc rogue, and she is the sunshine and personality of the group.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Sunshine in the sense that sitting around the sun too long will give you sunburn, and then possibly skin cancer.
Shiana causes skin cancer?
Yes.
If she could.
If she could, she would. I mean, come on.
Only two are enemies.
Um,
Don't get on my bad side.
Of
Which
which there are many.
Most of the party.
I think mostly just
Josh.
Josh.
That's most of the party.
when we left off,
When
we left off, the group had returned to Ogrimmar after successfully assisting in bringing the Dragonmaw clan back into the fold of the Horde. And in reward for their service, they were granted the option of having their selection of Stronghold to be chosen as their guild hall. And with a variety of options being prepared for them, they said that the potential options will be granted to them in a day or two by Eitrig, the counselor, one of the counselors to the war chief. And you had been given free reign to rest within the Broken Tusk in the Valley of Strength until such time as your base was rendered ready and operational. And after an amount of shopping and exploring the city and conversations, awkward conversations with family members, the group adjourned for the evening at the Shattered Tusk, I believe was actually the name of it. And we rejoined them the next morning as they are all well rested the next day. Anyone have anything they need to do in the morning?
So we're back in Ogrimmar?
Yep.
Cool. The troll...
Oh, it's a broken tusk. Okay, I was right the first time.
So I had those lichens, right?
Yes.
On the rocks. How are they faring?
They're doing all right. They're pretty hardy. They can survive just about everywhere.
All right. I'm gonna see if I can't make a little patch of lichens, and I'm gonna take some down into that fiery flame death cave and see how the lichens handle that area.
Okay.
So I'm making sure I've got some more samples to take from them. I've got several little rocks. I'm setting aside, letting them spread over a large rock somewhere, and then I'm taking a pebble down, a couple pebbles down with me. I'm going to see how do these things react to the heat. Making sure to bring with me an amount of moisture, like a water skin full.
Yeah. So you gather up the lichens that you got and some rocks to place them on and some water, and you head down into Hellfire Peninsula. Not Hellfire Peninsula, that's Outlands. Ragefire Chasm.
Yeah, let's say it wouldn't be a peninsula if it's a cave.
Ragefire Chasm. You head down into the depths of the Ragefire and sort of bring these lichens with you. And almost immediately, because you are adjacent to lava flows, the heat and arid nature, while it could handle sort of the arid desert heat, the sort of badlands heat of Orgrimmar, especially when you cut them in shade, here the lava is actively drying out the lichens.
I'm going to pour some water, not on them, but below them on a hot rock that'll steam up and see how they react to the steam.
The steam definitely helps, but you don't have enough water to keep them steamed.
But do I get the impression that if there was a sort of sauna environment, that they would withstand the heat so long as there was sufficient moisture, or that the heat...
As long as there was sufficient humidity, yeah, they would probably be able to withstand the heat.
Okay, but the humidity would have to be like sauna level of steam, or just a constant amount of moisture in the air.
It would definitely have to be like... You imagine it would just need to be an amount of moisture in the air to thrive up in Orgrimmar, but down here in the Ragefire, you would definitely need like a sauna going constantly.
Okay. Alright. Head back up. So I really need those desert lichens that I had seen over in the wastes.
Probably.
Or a way to turn this down here into a sauna, but we discussed that already. It will require some digging.
Kind of rough. We were trying to figure out a way to do a machine that would...
Yes, I remember the create water machine. Unfortunately, that would require so much maintenance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything they need to do in the morning?
I believe there was a guy who was carving lenses.
Yes.
Trying to get lenses and stuff.
You want to head back to the Forsaken Earth?
Yeah.
And go meet up with Grimlark? So you head back to the Forsaken Earth in the Valley of Honor, and you head back in, and once again, oh, hang on, one moment, and a few moments later, the undead dwarf greets you once more as Grimlark Rotspine. Ah, Leaf, good to see you. Take it you're here for your lenses.
Indeed I am.
I've got them right here. He says he reaches over behind the countertop and pulls out a small case and sets it on the countertop and opens it up, and you can see there are these sort of finely crafted lenses of different materials, the three that you had requested.
I said I'd look them over. Good craftsmanship, Grimlock.
I fancy myself something of a jewel cutter.
Say, I'm curious, you're fairly new as far as this shop being here, so I heard.
It was only just over a year ago that I had moved to Razor Hill, and since the Cataclysm, I figured I'd move my shop up here. So, it's been some time since I left Undercity.
Because I was just wondering, if you had any, say, clan or guild affiliations around here, because we're our own little group that you met back in Razor Hill. We're forming something of a new guild. It's not terribly far yet, but we're making good progress so far.
I have no guild affiliations at the moment.
Mostly I'm just saying because the kind of things that you sell, the kind of things you make, it's definitely a place that I'll be frequenting, I imagine. We don't really have much of the formal structure of it up yet, but just as a general question of interest.
I might be interested. If you can have something to offer me, my business will likely stand well enough on its own, so if you can make it worth my while to join a guild, I might be willing to.
Well, I'm certain having a decent team to be able to aid you with any reagents you might be able to acquire, help put some more rare things in your shop.
Perhaps.
I'm sure when we can figure out the formalities of it later, but good to know at least, know that there's good talent out there that's interested.
Oh, there's definitely interest, and I know your group. I appreciate all of you and your talents, so I wouldn't be averse to it.
All right. Good to know. When we have a guild hall, hopefully things can be accelerated a little bit in that respect, but yes.
Yes, then.
I need to try something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
No, it's not that. How well can I carry this mace without having to wear my suit?
Well, you're a pack rat, so you can.
Yeah, okay, so I can pick it up and I can
pick it up and lug it
drag
around.
or
Yeah.
whatever. Okay. I'm gonna. So you see this little goblin lugging this thorium mace into the armory or the weapon shop, and say I'd like to trade this for a more magical type of mace, possibly.
You had to spray it to Nerox.
Yeah. See if I can get something like just a regular +1 mace instead of or +2 maybe. How much is thorium worth? It's
a heavy
I
material.
forgot. I think I tried to figure it out. And it's kind of heavy. That's all.
Yeah.
If I get a regular.
Makes it easier to use.
Yeah, because I could use something that's magical instead of thorium.
So you bring it over to Narok, and he sort of looks it over, and it's a large size mace.
Yeah.
So it's meant
Right,
for something bigger than
It's definitely bigger than me. This is for large. Yeah.
And he sort of looks it over.
I figured out the cost of this once, and I forgot what it was, but
You figured out the cost back in 3.5.
Yeah. But it was
It is different.
It was close to the I can't remember if it was a +1 or +2 maze.
Yeah. It was a relatively solid price.
Yeah.
And he sort of, as you bring it in, my, that's a big item you brought with you. You're looking to trade that, you said.
Yeah. I'd like something a little less heavy, a little more magical.
Something a little bit more potent for your size, perhaps.
Well, I usually use this with my steam suit, so yeah, it can be large size. I don't. I want a large size. Or, yeah,
Something big enough for a steam suit.
yeah. I mean, that's medium size, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, this thing's a little too heavy for me.
It's quite a weapon. I might be able to make a feasible trade for that. Let me see what I've got.
Okay.
I'm gonna walk back behind into the room where he keeps most of his stock, and he'll sort of pour through and see what quality equipment he's got with him. So he returns a while later with a variety, sort of like an armful of 3 different weapons in his arms. Well, I've got each of these, and any one of them might be a decent enough trade for a weapon of that size and material. He sort of lays them out on the countertop. This one here is designed to be thrown and returned to the hand. Other than that, it's normal. This one is more potent than the standard. It's strikes harder and strikes truer. Go into a +1. This one is slightly unique. It's been outfitted to be used as a spellcasting focus, meaning you don't need to have a hand free while wielding it. And additionally, it serves as a storage of magical energy and can hold some of the first circle of magic within itself.
That could be fun.
Not to the third circle, although it can hold more of the first and second circles. Which is to say it has 3 spell levels that can be stored in it.
Right. That's noisy.
Ring.
What?
So, okay. Yeah, that last one sounds intriguing. I would like to experiment with that. If I can lug it out of here.
Absolutely. All 3 of them are medium maces. And
Okay.
there's a +1, a returning, and one that has 3 spell levels that can be stored in it.
Okay. And that has to be recharged every day or something? Or is it
You
like
store the
one of
spell.
those-
You store the spell
You store
levels in it,
it,
and then you
and
take a long
if
rest.
you
You get the
use
spell
it-
slots back. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can store a first level spell, a second level, and a first level. You can store 3 first levels, a second level, and a first level, or a third level spell in it.
That sounds... Okay, we'll try that. Because that, okay. Yeah, we'll go with that one.
All 3 of them are considered magical for the purposes of overcoming damage reduction, but
Right.
only the second one had the +1 to attack and damage.
Right, okay. So...
It's Richard.
Alright. That's great. I would lift this up and put it on your counter, but I can't.
I've got it. As he takes the thorium mace and sort of brings it back
Yeah.
around.
Okay. Alright. And I'll take the other one and drag it out. Back out to the street. People are thinking I'm really strange, probably. That's okay.
They've seen goblins carrying big stuff around before.
Okay.
So, with that, unless anyone has anything else they need to accomplish in the morning, then eventually...
I am going to look around. So do we have a place to operate yet or not?
That's what was being worked out, and Etrick was supposed to arrive sometime today to give you the details on what your options were.
Okay, so he's giving us options. We're not trying to scout anything out.
No, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to look around with, like, animal outfitters and see if there's anything that can be... See if anyone has any goods for snakes.
What are you looking for?
The chainmail armor.
That would be a chainmail tube sock, thank you very
Yes,
much.
exactly.
That sounds extremely comfortable.
I mean, it's not like a snake can wield a weapon,
No,
but I'm curious if there's any accessories.
Curl
that-
his tail around a dagger.
As hilarious as that would be, I'm 100% for it. No, but
No. Build a robotic arm that goes on his tail.
I can build a robotic arm.
yeah, I don't need to go to Merlin for that.
Coming
Yeah,
out of the
build
back
a
of his
robotic
head.
arm for Snake
Make
Friend.
him, give him explosives that he can drop on enemies from above. Make him a little bomber.
Okay.
So my character's not immediately going to think to go to the technological side of this, so he's just going to go and
Make a saddle.
so I mean, there's a shop that you can find in the Valley of Strength called By Fang and Claw.
he's got fangs.
Yeah.
Maybe he can have claws now. Orcish claw of attack. Just No, get like a scorpion stinger for his tail, actually.
And actually, legitimately, as you sort of look around, you can see that there are various different armaments designed for hunters to outfit their animal companions with. Because hunters are a very common thing among the Horde. The Horde loves their animal companions to fight with them. There's barding for all sorts of different animal companions. There are legitimately for those who have serpents as their companions. There are like small, very light amounts of armor that can just be sort of placed along the ribs that they have to help sort of undulate with them. That'll help armor them a bit. And there are also like metal spikes that can be attached to their tails so that they can essentially, if you can train them to use it, they can have a sting.
Now, how would that function? Would it be a separate attack from his bite, or would it be an additional attack?
It would sort of be like dual wielding. He would be able to make an extra attack that just wouldn't add his strength or dex to it.
Would it still add my proficiency bonus?
Yes, it would slide your proficiency bonus to the damage.
Okay.
Because you are a hunter and that is your thing.
That seems like an issue, but I'd have to train him how to use it.
It wouldn't be too difficult because you have an empathic bond with your snake.
Yeah. So I suppose that's the first thing to check on. How much, like, what do I see in there? Because I would like to get something that makes him a bit better able to deal with things that are resistant to poison.
Mm-hmm. There's a variety of different things that you can find laying around. There are, if you're looking to drop something expensive, there are magical fangs that can be bought for the snake. That would be caps on top of their fangs that would not prevent them from delivering poison with them, but would enhance their damage and attack output. There are, again, the stings for the tail, and very, very light armor for the snake itself.
Okay. So what does it look like the options are in that regard?
Well, you can get just like a basic sting for about 20 gold, would be the equivalent of a dagger on their tail. And you can get some basic barding for them for about 100. That'll be the equivalent of a shield. It'll raise their armor class by 2.
Okay.
That's more expensive just because of how complicated it is to
very
interlock in place
complicated
that move with their spinal system. For if you're looking for something magical, there's for about 300 gold. There's a set of fangs that cap onto the snake's own fangs that will. There's a variety of different flavors. There's some that will apply elemental damage to them. For 500, you can just get ones that are just straight +1 to attack and damage for their bite. But you can get like fangs that'll shock for just that with no plus damage to just add some shocking damage for like 250, 300.
We're talking like a D4 additional or
D4, D6 if you want to get for some of the slightly more expensive, like the 350.
Okay. Cool. And snakes being air-aligned, I would imagine would be aligned towards either cold or shocking.
Yeah, probably either lightning or frost.
Okay. I'm imagining beings that are immune to poison are probably more likely to be resistant to frost than lightning.
You would generally say that things that are dead would be more likely to resist cold than lightning, generally speaking.
Okay.
Especially because the Scourge has a very cold theme.
Yeah. So if I were to get the D6 lightning fangs, and then that needs to be passed around so everyone can see. And then we need to show the viewers.
and kill people.
See if this works.
There we go.
There we go.
So,
Perfect.
As far as the tail daggers, do they have any special stingers, or are they?
They, for a similar price upgrade, to like 200, 250, 300, you can get elemental stingers. You can also get a more large and barbed stinger that is designed to sort of stick into and drag and sort of attach the snake to their target, which would sort of let them...
That seems like something for constrictor type snakes.
Probably, yeah.
Probably not distant friend.
Yeah. There are poison stingers, if you wanted to double down on the poison damage. There's one technological device that's in there that the salesperson will warn most people is untested because they got it from a tinker. That is supposed to be a grapple launcher. That is a stinger with supposedly a small cable inside that can launch the stinger at distance.
You know. Thank you. Let's get a basic stinger and lightning fangs. Usually the barding's 100.
Yeah.
And I has an amount of money. How much money has I got? Oh, I've got money.
you got
Yeah,
money.
you have a lot of
You got
money.
money.
Yeah, well, I
You've
don't
been spending it.
spend it,
Yeah.
so
Also, you have to get me if you want to buy things because I
I'm
have
aware
your
of that.
money.
so yeah. So I'm going to grab the lightning stinging fangs, the tail stinger, and I'm assuming he has to custom make the barding to the snake.
Yeah, generally.
So I'm going to grab an example of the barding and take them all over there and put them on the table, and Snake Friend will coil up next to it.
Yeah. So he sort of, the troll who's manning it sort of looks over it. Alright. Put these all together. 100 for the barding, 50 for the stinger. 350, you want the big shark. I'm assuming that's a yes. 350 for the big shark. That'd be putting you at 500.
Troll's going to stare at him blankly.
Are you with him by now? Probably.
Probably not.
No?
You gotta go get a...
He's probably having breakfast.
He sets out a stack of 10 gold coins, points. You need 5 of these.
Pick up the stack of coins and put it over there. And do that again and like 5 times. Like move it around 5 times.
Now you need to bring me 5 of these.
Reach my pocket, pull out 5 random bones, put them on the table.
He sort of leans over his shoulder and communicates to a spider that's on the shelf. And the spider comes down and sort of in the best it can do to be speech trying to communicate with you, communicates that you're going to need 500 gold pieces for all of this.
And look at the spider, point at the money with that, and give him the empathic, "Oh, the useless junk we keep finding on the floor?"
Yes.
Look at the guy like he's crazy. Shake my head, walk out, go find Shiana.
The troll finds you.
She's probably having breakfast.
Yeah.
Are you at your parents?
Yes.
Or are you somewhere else?
Maybe.
She was at the end.
Oh,
That's
that's
a
right.
broken
Last
tusk with
night.
everybody else.
That's right.
Alright,
That's right.
walks up to you, points at the coin pouch.
You need money. You want to buy something.
Point to Snake Friend.
The snake wants to buy something. Okay. She'll follow you out.
Okay.
Lead on.
I take her back to the pet shop.
Ah, you must be the one who helps your pharaoh friend here.
Yes.
Yes.
What does he want?
You wanted this here armor for his snake, stinger for his snake, and fangs for his snake. Grand total, all the prices rounds up to about 500.
500 gold for a snake.
Point to Snack Friend. Snack Friend nods enthusiastically.
Okay, it is our mascot. Sure. She'll take out. It's your money. She'll take out 500 gold.
Give it to the spider.
She'll give it to the man.
You give it to him, counts it out, puts it in a chest under the table, under the counter, sort of lays out the armor pieces, and sort of looks over at the spider and just emits this chittering noise, this sort of like spider noise. And
Ironically, I understand it better now.
yeah. And the spider sort of runs down to the plates and starts to very rapidly fit them to the snake and sort of use its silk to tighten it down and sort of make it appropriate and sort of ties it appropriately to the snake's body. And about 5 minutes later, the snake is outfitted properly with the armor.
Okay. Troll Friend is happy now.
You have an armored snake.
Troll friend is happy?
Yes.
Okay.
Troll Friend is Troll Friend to the snake.
Is
And
that,
Snack Friend is Snack Friend to the troll.
is that everything you need?
Walks out.
She'll follow. Do you need anything else that would cost these things? She jingles a pouch. Okay.
Troll Friend is going to go get food now.
I guess she's going with him. Just gonna go finish food.
So, short while later, Eitrig approaches the group of you at the Broken Tusk. All right, I've got a small selection of potential buildings for your guild hall. There's a few that are already cleared out and ready to move and get set up, but there is one that might require a little bit of extra work on your part. And so I'll lay out your options and you can decide what it is you would like best.
Do any of them have lava pits to throw my enemies?
One.
Really?
There is one that has a connection down to the Ragefire Chasms.
A source of power. We need to plug into that.
Oh no, we've already decided and I'm terrified of it.
Of the three options,
Three options.
there is the Skyfire Lodge, which is on the cliff face that overlooks most of Orgrimmar, near one of the waterfalls that pours down into the Valley of Spirits. It's a very small above-ground environment, mostly a series of underground caves and cutouts that does connect down into the Ragefire Chasm beneath. That one is cleared and set to go, easy to access. There is the Dead End Lodge, which is in the middle of the drag, near one of the small areas where it empties out. That one's a lot easier to get to. It has a lot more access to the commerce of the streets. It's somewhat larger in terms of an interior. Is again ready to move and ready to go. That is more of an interior space. Is more your standard guild hall, just a series of
Boring.
rooms and operational facilities. It's very run-of-the-mill.
Boring, in other words.
And then the last
For
one...
once we agree, Josh.
I will take down this moment for posterity.
And then the last one is Spike Ridge Fort, which is outside of the walls of Orgrimmar, but is a much larger old fortification that was built when Orgrimmar was first founded and left alone since. It has been mostly gathering dust without much need for it militarily, and has the most room of the three, but also might have a certain number of vermin or creatures that have begun to make nest there.
He wants that one.
is the most easily defensible as well, as it was originally designed to be a fort to defend Orgrimmar.
That would be kind of
Well,
The
it
troll
was
is
under
confused
construction.
as to why this is a downside. It comes with minions.
Minions and roommates.
That could be, I mean, actually sounds kind of fun having it on a fort. Although I still like having the little lava pit for accessing power.
So have we already ruled out the one on the Market Street?
So
Yes.
boring.
All right then.
What do you think, Brick?
The fort sounds like a good option.
I think the fort sounds good.
So which one has? So the lava
I-
access one is the one in the.
Skyfire Lodge.
Yeah.
And as
It's
I
next to
remember,
waterfalls. It's
It'd be
next
nice-
to a bunch of lava.
as
It'd be
I
a nice
remember,
view,
this,
It's on a mountain.
That's
Our
one-
elementalist friend would probably vote
That's the
for
one
it.
Garrick
That's what Garrick
Garrick
was.
wanted.
Yeah.
He wanted one there.
Yeah.
So that has the advantage of we could totally fulfill my goal of making the
Yes.
fire pits inhabitable by redirecting the water flow into the lava and then creating a sort of, you know.
Steam
There
bath.
are enemies in there, but you know.
Yeah, we can we can use
Okay,
it for
the
power.
sauna does not prevent you from throwing your enemies in there. It just means that you have a sauna while you throw your enemies in there.
Okay.
You can Sparta kick. This is sauna. And then in the sauna, there's the smell of your enemies flaming and roasting,
Nice.
which is either an upside or a downside depending on whether or not you're an orc.
Isn't Ron one of those?
What?
Isn't Ron one of those?
Isn't? Yes.
What?
Aren't you one of those orcs?
Yes.
Yes, she would love the smell of her enemies.
He said Ron.
In the pit.
Huh? Oh,
He
sorry.
said Ron.
Ron is her other orc.
I was gonna say that is one of my orcs, but not the one I'm currently playing.
Yeah,
Sorry,
sorry.
that threw me off.
Yeah. But then the other option is Spike Ridge Fort. So it is nice and large, which would be helpful if you wanted to do something stupid and ambitious. I'm sure it'd probably
Yes.
be the best place to dock an airship if we wanted one, but I think
That's
we've
right.
determined that any airship we lay foot on is cursed, just
It
automatically.
is. We just need to avoid airships.
So I can't think of any particularly
Troll?
large inventions we would
You're
do.
like the A-Team, we just never get on planes.
And just like the A-Team, we'll just build a vehicle to drive through walls.
Who is
Et
this
cetera.
A-team you speak?
It's cool. Mr. T could fly a van.
Somehow.
I still like the idea of a team of clerics and calling them the Amen.
The Amen.
An all-cleric party.
The Amen.
Oh, that'd be stupid. Man.
We're doing an Everyone is Warlocks campaign on Thursdays.
Are we just gonna go through every class now?
Eventually.
I mean, we need the all-tinker party at some
we
point.
have an Everyone is Bards party brewing up for the next for a Thursday campaign eventually.
That one's easy.
Yeah.
Everyone is clerics requires a little. Everyone is bards and everyone is sorcerers and everyone's is wizards. It's all pretty easy. It's when you get
And I feel like everyone as barbarians would just be a little bit flat. After the 30th time that you just charge gloriously into battle, how much glory can you really get out of it?
I mean, Everyone is Warlocks is proving to be quite challenging.
Let me know when you guys do Everyone is Kraken. I want in on that.
But yeah, so I don't see why we'd need a more defensible position, really.
Well, it depends on how much you intend to grow your numbers as well, because the Skyfire Lodge is the smallest of the three.
The
Yes.
one I liked.
But we can add on to it.
Can we expand?
Yes, but that would require you to either dig through tunnels or build more of the already very small above ground.
Yes.
We can dig tunnels.
We can dig tunnels. We'll acquire some dwarves.
I can.
We will enslave them. And then I'm joking.
I'm making.
It's hard to tell sometimes.
It was a joke.
I can just make
All
some
right.
machines to dig stuff out.
Well, how large is the Skyfire Lodge itself? Like, would it be something where it would start capping out the number of people we would have at like 10 or closer to like we could have a couple dozen before we start bumping elbows with people?
You'd probably be looking at about a max of 15 to 20 for the Skyfire Lodge before you had to start expanding.
It's not that bad.
How many people do we really need, honestly?
Or like.
I mean, considering we're not exactly going to be
It was-
a frontline fighter type organization.
It
Sure,
was
having
originally built by a small circle of shaman to serve as a communion lodge, and has since been opened. Which is why it's relatively small. It was not designed for a guild. It was designed for a small circle of shamans.
I imagine if we may have multiple groups that can go out and perform missions, but those groups would be relatively small given our area of expertise.
Bear in mind that the group of you take up almost half
Yeah.
of the capacity with the 6 of you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how much of the lava area do we even have in that one?
You've got the building itself does not encompass any of the rage fire. It just has a tunnel that leads down into the rage fire.
So we just had to build a basement. All kinds of systems of basements. We can build a digging machine.
Yeah, I mean, we can expand there.
Also be aware that should you dig too far in one direction, you might end up popping out of the walls of Orgrimmar and
We
into
just put
there.
glass. We just put a picture window in.
And I am obliged to warn you that any significant digging requires running it
Permits.
past the city of Orgrimmar, yes.
Yes.
Would it be possible for us to go look at the location?
Absolutely, I can lead you to each of them. I can lead you to each of them to show you.
Probably not the second one. Are we in agreement?
Yeah.
We've ruled it out too quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no real need for
Okay,
it. We don't
so
need to be
the-
closer to the market area.
The first and the last one.
If we take the first one, I mean, you know,
Skyfire Lodge.
Sapphire Lodge, and then work on buying the fortress to expand.
Have 2 locations.
Yeah.
Presuming, of course, another guild doesn't end up there.
No, that's true. I mean, but whatever.
I mean, we killed them.
We just take them over.
Well, first, let us
Wasn't a joke, Reeve.
let us journey to Skyfire Lodge to
Okay, let's look at
show you the
that.
first.
Can you stop solving all of your problems with stabbing?
It works.
Not all of your problems.
Not all, but about 90% of them.
That's an improvement from last time I asked, at the very least.
99%.
Murder. It's 99% effective.
Alright, 99. Now we're going up. I don't like this. What, is that 9% the amount of murders that you have to do with slashing instead of stabbing? Don't answer that.
So he leads you up the
These are
elevators.
incredibly
in the central-
dysfunctional group.
I'm perfectly functional.
So is she.
Our incredibly dysfunctional group.
Etrick leads the group up the elevators to the mesa, and then across one of the bridges to the outer rim, where there's sort of another flat area that's sort of lined with higher mountaintops. And he eventually leads you to what looks to be like a small, like 4 walls and a roof lodge. Like it looks like a very small torrent hut, essentially. It's marked with a variety of shamanistic symbols across different sides of the walls. There's only like a couple of windows on this particular. It looks like this building itself looks like it's got 3, maybe 4 rooms maximum. And there's this large totem that is rising up out of the roof that sort of stands above the entire building. And he sort of leads you up to it, and well, here's the entrance. And he sort of pulls out a ring of keys, puts it in the door, opens it up, and inside you see that there's a very small sort of central room. There's like a small cooking area in the back, one bedroom here for whoever's is sitting up here, and like a couple of general purpose rooms here up on the floor on the ground level. And then there is, in the dead center, there's a spiral staircase that heads down into the cliff face. And he sort of leads you down into it, and this spiral staircase has a number of different hallways to sort of break off of it at different points. It goes down about 4 or 5 levels of different small hallways. They each have a couple of different rooms off to each side. Most of them have been emptied out, and so are just open for whatever general purpose. But then after about 5 floors of this, it just heads a straight shot down before it eventually empties out into, there's a small rope ladder that's sort of bundled up at the very bottom, and there's just a hole at the bottom of the staircase that drops down into the rage fire. And you can feel that heat from the rage fire sort of coming up from below.
How difficult would it be to make a way for the water to get down into there from here?
It would have to go down into the building first.
So we'd have to flood the building first.
Yeah.
I'll just make a pipe. I mean, how close is this to the waterfall?
Piping an already small building.
From the outside, one of the waterfalls that empties out into the Valley of Spirits was roughly 60 feet away.
So we get that, yeah. So we have water access.
I'm going to grab Leaf and walk a bit and point at the water and then point at the hole and then cock my head.
Turn the staircase into a water slide.
We can do that.
I'm suddenly
in about
slightly
30
more
seconds.
sold on this locale. No. Because the waterfall would then lead down into
Yeah.
the caves.
Right.
So
You
you can either Sparta kick your enemies into the lava from the sauna, or you can just kick them down a water slide. Let them enjoy their last moments.
We buy the fort, but then we also, we get the fort, then we buy this and turn it into Ogremar's first water park.
Yes.
Water park and sauna.
Yes, water park and sauna. We could make a
We can
killing.
make money on this.
turn the
Well, that
staircase
too.
into a water slide, and you just gotta have good
We get-
reflexes to reach out and grab one of the side halls if you don't want to go all the way down.
Well, we could make it safe, but then we could put...
Says the goblin. The goblin says we can make it safe. I'm worried.
Actually, this is a fun idea. I wonder how much this would cost. That's why
Yeah,
I-
no, I've
I
been
think it's a
thinking
great
that
idea.
too. How
I
much
think
is,
We just buy this. We have to accept that
like
other
it's,
one, and because if we
yeah.
can buy it and set it up as something that'll make money. I mean, if you want to do a little water park,
Yeah,
thing,
no,
throw
I've
a water
got-
slide.
Shiana honestly had the same thought process.
You realize we'd probably have to get some kind of permit to be pumping that much of this water into our own property.
Yeah, I know. Well, we can deal with that.
I have to go permit for most anything we do.
Yes.
Yeah, well, let's go.
Exactly.
Let's go talk to the government officials and see what.
Let's check out the other location.
Check out the other little. Yeah.
Yeah, so he takes you out of the gates of Orgrimmar, and it's about from the gates of Orgrimmar. It's about a 10-minute walk southwest, and it leads to this sort of very large, definitely sizable, sort of dilapidated, sort of seen a lot of disuse, but still standing strong. It's covered in dust, and there's some weak points at it. But if you launched a catapult shot at this thing, it would hold up to it. This large iron and stone fortress that sort of stands at a small hill that overlooks not only what used to be Thunder Ridge, which has been flooded, is now the Thunder Fury watershed. The ridge used to be a place where a bunch of the Thunder Lizards would inhabit, but since the Cataclysm, that area is flooded, and it's full of the Thunder Lizards, corpses that have been slowly getting fished out over time, and the environment is sort of it's basically a giant lake now that occasionally emits electrical discharge from the thunderlisted corpses. And then it also looks over the South Fury River. So you've got a view of a good chunk of Duratar, and you got a view over into the Northern Barrens as well. And as he sort of leads you inside, there is this sort of massive grand central room on the ground floor that is large open floor plan with a few like pillars and supports in different areas, and this whole area looks like it was probably used as like a barracks and training ground for when the fort was occupied. And there's stairs that head up in the center. It's got 4 levels, each of which is equally large, very spacious. The upper levels are less open floor plan. They have more divided rooms for like storage and officer sleeping areas, and a war room at the very top with the very top room looks like it was definitely designed to be a war room. It's got like the large circular room with sort of windows on all sides so that you can get a good view onto the areas outside. There's like 4 towers on each of the corners of the fort that have archer positions for heavy crossbows and some light siege weaponry if they need to be like heavy standing light ballistae that are designed to be like moved on a pindle. And he sort of walks you through, and you can always tell out of the corner of your eye that there's something moving around in here, but it seems to be avoiding you because you're moving in large groups.
Can I get a sense of what it is from based on tracks and animal knowledge and stuff?
Let me survival.
Oh, right, we leveled up recently. 16.
16. As you sort of look around and sort of examine tracks and the what little exists here that has been dropped, and some of the occasional track marks, it looks like you've got some kind of scorpions have set up in here.
What size?
Varies, but some of the tracks are particularly large. You've probably got at least a giant scorpion and probably its nest have set up around here, and they're just kind of avoiding you because you haven't made yourself too much of an annoyance yet, and you're moving in a large group. But you imagine if you started setting up here, you'd probably have to deal with them.
I see the basics of everything, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go see if I can make some friends.
Okay, so while you guys are sort of examining the rest of the building, the troll sneaks off.
Which only ever ends well.
Oh, yeah.
So go ahead and roll me another survival check to see if you can corner some of these.
20.
20. You start looking around. You eventually find some tracks, and you sort of follow them down to one of the corners of the base level. And as you sort of find you manage to follow one of the sets of tracks, and you start to hear the noise, like the chittering noise, and you sort of follow it, and you find one of these large scorpions, definitely on the larger size, that has sort of made its way around here, and you sort of find it, and you manage to get it, and it's sort of in one corner of the room.
What is the general diet of scorpions?
Generally speaking,
At least giant scorpions.
Probably smaller insects and or creatures that they would just sort of slowly gnaw on.
And are they going to be more like spiders, and that they're going to want the juices of it, or are they more just into the meat? Again, working on the basis of magical giant scorpions as opposed to real scorpions.
And they will probably just want the entire body, like just sort of the meat of the creature.
Okay. So I'm going to just kind of stand and do that stand my ground very firmly, like I'm not going anywhere, but make no motion that's aggressive. I'm not approaching it. I want to try to read its response.
Roll me animal handling. Nice. As you sort of get its attention, you realize it's definitely noticed you a while back, and it's sort of skittering and sort of clacking in the corner, making these sort of like threatening clacking noises with its pincers, and it's waving its stinger around to make sure that you know that it's present. It definitely feels that you are intruding upon its territory, and it wants you to leave.
Shiana, are you okay with throwing your enemies into a scorpion pit instead of a lava pit?
Oh, yeah. That's fine. I mean, you'd have to ask her, but yeah, that'd be fine.
Ask.
I mean, in your own special way.
So it feels that I'm intruding. Does it seem aggressive? Does it seem bothered that I'm here, or does it seem concerned that I'm going to stay here and try to move into its territory?
And it definitely seems more concerned that you are. It is concerned that whoever is here might be coming here permanently.
Okay, so it's not like, how dare you be here, it's, this is my home, I need you to know this.
Yeah.
Which is, again, why it's not as outwardly aggressive.
Yeah.
Based on the tracks, can I make a guess as to where its nest is? Or based on the any sort of movements? Is it moving to block off areas, or is it more just...
You seem to have caught it in the corner. You would imagine, based on what you know of scorpions, that their nest would probably be wherever they can keep coolest and away from the sun, so that they can, because they are ectothermic, so if they get overheated, they'll have problems. But
Yeah.
so it's probably wherever they can keep themselves nice and cool. So it's probably somewhere here on the bottom layer, and probably anywhere where there might be open dirt where they can sort of dig a hole, like a burrow.
Looking at the size of this scorpion, does it appear to be just one of the scorpions, a matron, a worker?
It definitely looks like it's just one of the scorpions. It would be considered a medium beast.
So we're talking about 5 foot long.
Yeah.
Okay.
You imagine that the matron or whatever, the leader of this group of scorpions would probably be much larger.
Okay. Are there any remnants of the room of food, or would I probably have to find? Would I have to go to the nest to find what they've been eating?
Probably have to go to the nest to find where they've been eating, because from what you understand of the Duratar scorpions, they tend to either eat their food on the spot, or if they've got a nest, bring it back to the nest to share.
Okay. I'm going to, since it seems more bothered with me moving in than a direct threat, I am going to go to see if I can... I'm going to go to the most obvious place that a nest would be and see if it's open, or if it's hidden, I'm not going to try to poke it, because obviously they don't want it to be seen.
Roll me survival.
That was not good. 8.
8. Looking around, you're sure that it's somewhere here on the ground floor, but this area's got pretty solid floorboards, and some of them are like creaky and loose, but you don't see anywhere that would be an obvious sign of a burrow.
It's not in, hey, it's one big room, it's in the corner kind of thing.
Yeah, like this is a big open floor plan, but you can't see anywhere that would be the obvious sign of a burrow.
Okay, so it's probably under the floorboards or in a wall.
Probably.
Okay. So again, somewhere protected, somewhere they don't want a lot of interaction with. You said that there were a lot of lightning lizard things in the water.
Yeah, thunder lizards. There's in the ridge that's sort of southeast from where the fort is positioned. There's a ridge that used to be a natural habitat for thunder lizards. But since it's flooded, it's got a lot of their corpses in it, and their corpses still occasionally emit electric discharge. And they haven't managed to fish all of them out yet.
I'm gonna head over there.
So you head over to the.
Oh, by the way, when I walked away from that scorpion, did it seem to follow me, stay out of sight,
It definitely seemed to.
scatter away immediately?
Yeah, it definitely seemed to scatter away.
Okay.
Once it realized that you weren't blocking its path, it definitely moved.
All right.
So you head over to the ridge, and you can see, there's this series of ridges that drop down into what would have normally been like a canyon, but it's been almost completely filled with water. And if you look down, the waters are just clear enough that you can see to the bottom, and you can definitely see sort of scattered about across the floor these gigantic lizards, like we're talking Kodo size or larger, that are just collapsed underneath all the water. And you can see they have these like Stegosaurus spiked ridges across their backs, and you can occasionally see lightning just kind of arc across those ridges, and you can see it sort of discharge to the water around them.
How far into the water are they?
They're about 60 feet, maybe 80 feet down.
I'm going to rejoin with the rest of the group.
Okay. So, the E-Trig is sort of showing you around the rest of the building, indicating the sheer size. This area, this building, can probably hold 50 to 100, depending on how tightly you wanted to pack people.
How many floors did you say there were?
There's 4 floors.
Okay.
But the top floor was more of a...
Technically, there is a 5th floor, but the 5th floor is one room. It's the war room.
Okay.
Right.
The 5th floor gets a lot narrower. It's just sort of the war room is about the war room is about a 20-foot diameter circle.
So, what do you guys think?
Even though it could use some work, I still think this is probably our best option.
Yeah.
I'm going to point at you.
Yes.
I'm going to hold up my arm, and Snake Friend's going to wrap around my arm with his little stinger, and my arm's going to mime the scorpion, and his tail's going to...
Found a scorpion.
I'm going to nod, and then I'm going to point at you, and I'm going to...
Do you keep grabbing, like, the
Yes.
shoulder that doesn't have an arm?
and then I'm going to go down,
It's not me.
and I'm going to take a look around for a second. I'm going to...
No, you'd be dead.
I'm gonna scratch out a little pit, and then Snake Friend's gonna pretend to be a scorpion in the pit, and then I'm going to grab the goblin, and then I'm going to like put an arm behind my back and pretend to be Shiana, and like do a fake Sparta kick to knock the goblin into the scorpion, into the Snake Friend is pretending to be a scorpion, and Snake Friend's gonna be all like playfully, rawr rawr stab stab.
Sorry.
How does Josh react to that?
If my family could see me now.
They'd be so proud.
So anyway,
You found a pit of scorpions, and you're saying I can throw the goblin to them.
Your enemies in general, I believe you're
I
referring
was
to.
joking. You guys don't understand my humor.
So let me get this straight. You think that if we should be able to move in here and then set up a deal with the scorpions where they tolerate having us around as long as we feed them our enemies?
I am okay with this.
I also just pull out a thing of meat.
I mean, we can also give them meat. And our enemies. And the meat of our
I also
enemies.
then point at the giant lake full of corpses.
Water?
I point at the meat and then point at the giant lake of corpses.
Wait, what kind
We
of corpses
feed
are in
them
this
the
giant lake?
corpses?
Thunder lizards, from what you know.
They're discharging electricity.
Imagine
so
how
we're not
much
gonna
that
go
could
fishing.
feed.
Well, yeah, but I mean...
I know I don't need to tell you this, but it is a lot of responsibility. Are you willing to take that?
Yes, feeding your pets. You have to clean the litter box.
You have to take them for walks. You have to find people to feed to them.
I know you are very good with animals.
This could be...
Well, I'm fine with that.
scorpions? Why did it have to be scorpions?
I would agree with Brick. This is probably our best option.
Yeah.
There's plenty of room. Though, she'll turn to, what's his name?
Etrick.
How much would it cost to purchase the other location we're at?
The Skyfire Lodge, last I was told, the current running price was 8,000 gold.
We're close.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, so,
We
yeah.
don't have. And
No,
let's
we don't
also
have it,
remember
But we could,
about this particular location, the fact that
in a couple of weeks.
it's... I'm just going to walk over to a wall and just pull out a loose brick, because I assume that's just a thing you can do.
Yes, it will require some repairs, likely.
We can
The
repair.
initial construction figure for this fortress was initially 14,000 gold, however.
And while
I
it can
take the
hold
brick.
a lot of people, we'll have to restore it a lot before we can actually convince anyone that
I
living
go
in this
take the
place is a
brick.
good idea.
I take the brick out of your
Especially,
hand.
no
Stick it
offense,
back
with
in.
your friends, who I imagine are not the most charismatic of folks.
I'm gonna take the brick out of your hand, stick it back in, and do a mend spell.
That takes 10 minutes.
I know.
Here's
That's
the
all
thing,
right.
10 minutes, you fix one brick.
That's okay. Well,
we don't.
I mean, it'll take a while to fix.
The keep is currently selling for 10,000 on its 14,000 original construction price.
We don't need to restore all of it right away.
Yeah, we
just
can
need,
restore it a little bit at a time.
as we grow, we can restore more and more of it.
Yes,
Just
I think
voicing
we should
my
get this
concerns.
location. I'm not saying we purchase the other one right now. I'm just saying, you know, maybe
Yeah.
in the
I
future,
mean, that
you
could be,
know.
yeah, within the next few months, we could probably afford it.
Yeah.
Assuming that it's not bought or being
Well.
built by then.
How much money have you got, Josh?
What do I have? It's like, I gotta use this for some of my,
Never ask a goblin his gold.
about 3,000.
The saying
I've got
goes.
about, a little over, I've got over 3,000.
I've got just shy of 2,000 myself.
And everybody
Same
else
here.
has about 2.
Sure, just
If you want to spend most of your money,
Presuming we don't use our money on
No,
other people.
we
this
could-
is a future
Yeah, this is the future, but
thing.
we can do
This
this
is
in a
just-
couple of
yeah.
months, we can probably get enough.
Yeah,
I mean-
yeah, probably. Especially once we have minions. I mean, expand
Yeah,
our
right, we can have, we gotta get some kind of a money-making operation. We can go on,
That I
go on a
do
couple
I
more
do agree
quests.
with you on this.
Get a couple more quests, and we can probably knock this thing out.
This is terrifying.
It is.
Two of them are getting along.
How often you're agreeing? Yes.
So,
Well, I suppose we're going with this location then.
Spike Ridge Fort then.
That sounds good.
It'll take some work, but
Um,
I
yeah.
think we can bring it up to its former glory plus a scorpion pit.
how much repair would the glyph of mending do?
It's the cantrip.
Yeah. Or no, it's level 1.
What's the level 1?
Yep.
It does how much?
30 feet.
30 feet.
So I guess that.
It's a 30-foot range to activate. What's
Oh.
how much does it actually repair?
It regains 1 hit point equal to 1d10 plus your rune casting modifier.
Yeah, so that would take a
That's
lot
hit
of
points.
time,
But
but it would definitely be something that you could do. Like if you wanted
It'd
to
be a lot
just,
cheaper than getting materials.
like if you wanted to, it wouldn't replace anywhere where there is material missing.
Yeah.
But any of the stones that are loose, any of the wood that is old and rotted, you could sort of just walk around inscribing the runes across the walls and just start marking them and triggering them. And it would slowly over time sort of repair all the disrepaired material. You would still need to replace all the missing material.
Yeah,
But it would definitely cut down the cost of repairing this place.
Yes.
And it would take some time.
Yeah. And as far as I'm aware, we have plenty of that right now.
Hmm?
You gotta-
So yeah, I let them know that that's what I have in mind.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing with mending spells. I mean, we can do that kind of thing.
Alright.
Within a few days, we can get a lot of things. I mean,
I can get a really nice torture chamber set up in here.
Does this place have a stables?
Yes, it does have a stable.
Is that where our beasts are currently?
That was about half Joe Khalif, if you were wondering.
It's got enough room for all of your beasts. It's also got some spare room because this was designed to be a stable for a fort. It can probably hold a good 20, 30 large animals.
Question. How big of a scorpion would it take for one of us to ride? How big of a scorpion would it take for Shiana to ride it?
He could probably ride the matriarch
Yeah.
if you could find it.
And convince her
to let someone ride her.
Look, I'm not saying for regular occasions, but if the fort gets attacked,
Ride a scorpion into battle.
Shiana, you can't tell me it's not totally metal.
Yeah. If you could convince the scorpion matriarch, she could probably have someone ride her.
Every time.
I'm now imagining the fort goes under siege and I go grab the matriarch and a very confused matriarch and a very confused Shiana and just like put her on top.
What?
As you go through the comedic section where the matriarch confuses this as a food offering.
I speak scorpion. The conjugation's a little awkward, but I can figure it out.
She and Gianna earn a death match.
I'm picturing that old image where with that one dude in that gigantic tank with like barrels pointing in every direction, and he's got a sword, and it says, "Get me closer, I want to hit him with my sword." But with her riding the
40k meme. Drive me closer! I want to hit them with my sword!
Yeah, but I'm picturing Shiana now with her clothes, like, "Get me closer, I want
to slice them with my claws.
Right.
Anyway,
I think the scorpions would be better off without mounts.
yes.
Without. They can just fight by themselves if they wanted to.
Unless you build machines for them.
Turrets.
Can we build a scorpion?
I can build turrets on the back of the scorpions.
No, I mean a scorpion. You
They-
load a scorpion into a scorpion and you fire it.
No, what you need is a scorpion. A scorpion that fires scorpions that you put on a scorpion.
Like scorpions, like.
So you take the scorpion matriarch,
A scorpion is a kind of ballista.
Yeah, ballista, yes.
and then you put a scorpion on the back of that big scorpion, and you fire
That's what the
scorpions
tanks are
out of
called,
it.
right?
So you've got a scorpion with a
large
crossbow
scorpion.
turret on it that you put onto a scorpion.
Yes, just to shoot little scorpions toward, yes.
I'm mistaken, right? The scorpion is the tank in Halo, right?
Yes, the scorpion is the tank, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking in a tank. A scorpion
tank.
In a scorpion tank.
with a scorpion.
You just teach them how to.
Teach the scorpion how to operate the tank.
Yes.
I mean, they have 8 legs for the 8 pedals.
Yeah, that's the warthog. Oh, no, it is the tank.
Why are there 8 pedals if there are only 4 directions?
Django, do you think that you could communicate with the scorpions and make them okay with this situation?
I pointed the meat.
Go do your thing.
I'm gonna go find the Kodo.
The Kodo that you have for the cart?
Yes. I'm gonna take the Kodo over to the lake. I'm gonna grab some. Someone here has rope, right?
Oh yeah, we have rope. I bought it.
I grab some rope, tie it to one of these barbed quillbore harpoons,
Oh yeah.
wing it into one of these beasts, tie it to the Kodo, and lug it out.
Just roll me a quick attack roll to see how solidly you can manage to get one in there.
That's gonna be rough. It's
That's a 9 on the die.
oops. Yeah.
So 15.
15? Not bad. You managed to drive it through the water. It's a spear. It's designed to go through water effectively. You drive it through, and it sinks into the hide of one of these thunder lizards. Make a quick strength check for the Kodo.
You'll notice I didn't bother trying to yank it out myself.
Not bad. Yeah, so it takes the Kodo a couple of minutes, but you manage to get it moving, and it slowly begins to drag this thunder lizard out of the water, and eventually it won't be able to get it all the way onto the land. You'll need to help it pull it out of off the lip,
I'm gonna bring Garrick with me to help me.
Yeah, so you and Garrett go ahead and make me athletics checks, the two of you. I'll make one for him. Not bad.
17.
All right. With his over a 20, the two of you manage to haul the thing, and it quickly discharges a little bit of lightning as you pull it out. Go ahead and make me a Constitution saving throw, stamina save. He does well.
That was not amazing, but it's one of my good saves.
Good.
14.
All right. You take 6 lightning damage. Ow. Derek does as well.
Is the same thing to continue discharge once it's out of the water and on land, or not?
Yeah, it continues, but it's not nearly as dangerous when it's out of the water. You imagine to make it stop discharging, you would probably need to like hack into it a little bit and find the core and pull whatever is charging it out. Or just give it time. You imagine it hasn't been able to properly ground itself while it's been submerged in water. If you just give it time, it might just...
Do we have anyone in the party who might be able to use electric cores?
Sure, why not?
I'm going to go grab the goblin. I'm going to pick you up and carry you over and point at the zappy lizard.
The zappy lizard?
I'm then going to go in with my skinner, and it's got a leather-bound handle. Very carefully see if I can carve into it and find the electric core.
Roll me a skinning check, which I believe the skinner gives advantage to.
It does, which is good. Because that's a 6 versus a 19. Is this dexterity?
Yeah, it's a dexterity.
And I'm proficient. So that's 25.
25. Yeah, you sort of carve in with the knife and sort of dig around in the chest, and you eventually manage to pull out its heart, which is still crackling with electrical energy.
I'm just gonna push it along the ground over to you.
Okay.
I'm then going to resume using the kodo to drag this thing into the base, and then just kind of roll and flop and do what I can to get it over into the thing, and then step back from it.
You just push it into one of the corners, or?
Wherever I think I found some creaky floorboards, not so it's over it so it would block an entrance, but...
Yeah, so it's somewhere near there.
Oh, actually, can I hear any movement?
Roll perception.
I have advantage on hearing checks because I rolled whale, which is good because that was a 2. That was a 6 though, so 12.
You can definitely hear some movement under the floorboards. You can definitely confirm that wherever their nest is, it's under the floor. You just can't tell exactly where.
I'm going to move it over to that general area and step away. Step away enough where I'm not threatening, but still obviously present. And I'm going to see if I can... What sounds do scorpions make?
There's a lot of like the sound. The sound 6 legs technically, and there's also technically 6 pedals.
Yeah.
So their 6 legs make this sort of like this sort of rapidly.
Do they make
sound.
any verbalized?
They have sort of a small hiss. Like I can only confirm it with you with a sound bite. Honestly, I can't make the noise that scorpions make, but they do have a vocalization.
I'm going to see if I can use my hunter animal communication to see if I can approximate the noise to indicate that this is a gift.
Roll me animal handling with your charisma.
It's not as good that way. But a 19 on the die says that that's a 23.
23, nice. So you managed to make a good approximation of the noise that a scorpion makes, and sort of step back. And... Okay. A few moments pass, and you hear this much louder series of tapping noises as the sounds of 6 limbs punching through dirt begins to close in. And then a few moments later, one of a series of these loose floorboards sort of cracks and then lifts up and flips over onto its side. Like a good section of like 5 or 6 of these floorboards. And an absolutely massive scorpion, definitely the matriarch. This sort of like dark onyx gray exoskeleton, and you can see these sort of traceries of red of the flesh underneath the exoskeleton reaches and climbs its way out and sort of skitters its way out of the floorboards, looks around and spots the Kodo that is still larger than it, because the giant scorpion is like a...
We're talking like a large...
Either between large or huge, and the Kodo is between huge and even bigger. And the scorpion kind of looks at it for a minute and just kind of very carefully sinks both pincers into it and then digs its stinger into it and slowly begins to drag it.
Before it does, I'm gonna look and I'm gonna make the hissing noise again. I'm going to point to the Kodo into the beast. I'm going to point at the hole in the floor. Indicates safe. I'm going to point at this floor and above and put my hand on my chest to indicate ownership. And then stand there and see how it responds.
Roll me animal handling.
15?
15?
Not great, but...
With advantage, because you've given it food.
18.
18. So you get the sensation from the way it looks at you and responds that it will avoid you for a while, but this is going to take some constant work to really make a living relationship. Like it'll, you've made progress here, but it's going to take more work.
We've got a ceasefire,
Yeah.
not an alliance,
Yeah.
and certainly not a friendship.
Yeah. It'll take some time and some constant work. And it slowly just kind of hauls the thunder lizard down and hacks off bits of it where it needs to with its pincers to make more room. And
I'm sure other scorpions come up and start
yeah,
picking
and
up
like
the bits.
several other ones, several smaller ones begin to help and assist it with dragging and hacking pieces off, as that eventually the thunder lizard in several pieces is dragged down into their burrow.
Once it's down, I'm going to cover it back up and reconceal it so that no one else knows where the scorpion lair is. Now, is this over in a corner kind of out of sight, or is this like right in the middle of the room?
It's like the room is one giant circle, and there is a section on the far left that's sort of like these 5 or 6 boards that would be where the wall, like that butt up against the wall, sort of like almost just like a semicircle as it reaches the circular end of the floor plan, that lift up and butt against the wall.
Okay. So yeah. I'm going to make sure that it's not obvious that it's there. And I'm definitely not going to go in there.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'll have to do what I can to grab some graph paper and like draw the floor plan of this building for you at some point.
Once we picked it. Okay. And then I'm going to return to the rest of the group.
So, how'd it go?
Do we have a pit? Will they cooperate?
Troll's going to look at you a little confused.
Not yet.
Will they be okay with us?
Troll will nod.
Will they be okay with us feeding them?
Troll will nod. Definitely will nod more than yes.
Will they kill us in our sleep?
Troll will narrow his eyes and shake his head.
Heads?
Snake friend shakes too.
That's it. I don't think so.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Troll's got a job for this. Forge a meaningful relationship with the scorpions.
Work on that social link, man.
Yeah. The scorpion social link?
Yeah.
What arcana are scorpions? The tower?
That's what I was thinking.
Calamity?
I need to think about that, but yeah, I think that's a good one to...
So, Etrick sort of looks around. Are the group of you thinking of taking this one?
I think we
yes.
I
Yeah.
think
We're decided.
Alright. I'll draw out the paperwork for you and have it ready within the next couple of hours. I'll bring it out to you here.
Okay.
Is there any floor plans or...
Yes, I'll bring those with me as well.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna go pick my room.
You don't automatically get the largest room.
I'm gonna go.
It depends if I get there first.
I'm going to arrange the stables.
All right.
Make sure the animals are all set for. I'm also going to.
Well, as long as I'm the one that gets the floor plans and the official documentation.
Do scorpions have any
I'm
sense
going
of
to
smell?
switch the rooms right now.
What's that again?
Do scorpions have a sense of smell?
They do. It's no stronger than any other arachnid creature, though.
Do they have any ability to... How do scorpions mark territory?
Mostly, like, the sense of smell they do have is mostly devoted to pheromone sense. So that would probably be the closest thing you've...
I'm going to see what I can do to imitate a claimed staker on the stables to make sure that they don't come after our animals. Because that's the one I'm more concerned about than us. Because I think they
Yeah.
get us. I want to make sure they understand that the animals are included with that.
Yeah, so you can sort of mark out the territory as...
You see the troll peeing all over the stables. I jest. I'm encouraging
You
Dakota
just
to
what?
pee all over the stables.
I don't want to know what that process looks like.
Give Dakota a lot to drink.
Oh boy.
And yes, an amount of alcohol will help. Will encourage it. It won't hurt it. They're hardy beasts.
And now we have drunken Kodos.
Just one.
Just won't.
Now we have a drunken Kodo.
I just needed to pee everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
So,
I feel like the scorpions are probably the wheel arcana.
maybe.
The wheel of fortune. Very, you know.
And if anyone watching, like, knows scorpions very well and would actually know how they mark territory, please let me know.
We're making... I know a little bit about scorpions. But these are magical scorpions, sir. These are from World of Warcraft. They're not obliged to follow
Yes,
reality.
these are fantasy scorpions. They don't
Yes.
necessarily have to behave like real scorpions, but I feel like they might. So if anyone actually knows how scorpions mark territory, or if they do.
Or if they even nest.
Yeah.
They... somewhat.
Or what arcana they fall under.
Ooh, actually, the scorpions would definitely be the devil, because they start as the inverse devil, which is a lack of restraint and power that overwhelms and causes them to dominate things. And then as it flips over, it becomes a feeling of restraint and barely holding back.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah.
So,
So I'm going to work my devil social link.
So, you all essentially have a couple, as you sort of explore and mark your rooms and figure out who's staying where over the next couple of hours. Eventually, Eitrig returns with the paperwork of signing over the deed to the fortress and the floor plan, which he presents both to you, Leaf, as the person who's registered as guildmaster.
Cool.
As the bureaucrat in the group.
As the guy with the high intelligence who we're also fairly certain won't scam us.
As the guy with the highest sum total of mental stats.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
15, 16, 13.
Shiana
Not
is
as
searching
much.
all the rooms. Checking them
Roll me investigation.
out. Alright.
You find a body.
Mine!
Room of the body!
We just hear dibs.
16.
I mean, I imagine the scorpions have picked this place pretty clean as far as any meat goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to find it.
There is a skeleton.
Thankfully.
There is a skeleton in one room, though.
Oh.
As you look around, a lot of this area has got cobwebs. Like it's been left alone for a long time. There's cobwebs and dust everywhere. And eventually, as you sort of pour through, like on the On the 4th floor, the floor right below the war room, which has most of what you could imagine would have been the officers' rooms, because there's about like 8 to 10 rooms here on the 4th floor, and most of them look like they're small, designed to be dorms for officers. There in one of them there is a long bleached, long sat here skeleton perched by one of the windows.
What kind of
What? Yeah, what kind of skeleton is it?
It's only 4 things that it could be. Use a D4. It's a Tauren.
Skeleton.
Tauren skeleton, yes.
Okay. It's not like alive, right?
No, it's just a skeleton.
Not forsaken. Okay. Is the room like bigger than the other rooms?
It's about the same size. The rooms here are pretty uniform.
Not the biggest room.
I'll see about
It's
identifying the body.
It is the room that is tied for the biggest with a body in it.
Oh, there's multiple rows of bodies in them?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, it is tied for the biggest room, and it has a body in it.
Okay. Found a body!
Are there specific rules for being able to, like, swap out what spells you have readied on a day, or do you just have to rest again?
When it takes, there's actually specific rules for how long it takes you to prepare a spell. It takes an amount of prayer and
I think
rest,
it's like an hour, isn't it?
something like that.
So I'm just curious how long it would take to swap out Mass Healing Word for Speak with Dead.
Give me 1 second.
Because I kind of want to know what this person was doing here and, you know, give actual funeral rites that are seem slightly overdue at this point, but, you know, make sure this place isn't haunted too. Because that's the last thing we want. Haunted
Oh, I
and
don't know.
scorpions.
You can change your list of prayer spells when you finish a long rest praying. A new list of cleric spells requires time spent in prayer and meditation, at least 1 minute per spell level for each spell on your list. Generally speaking, it's supposed to be over the course of a long rest, but because you're not doing anything major over the course of today, you can probably just take, what level is Speak with Dead?
3rd level.
Take about 5 minutes and spend the time to swap the spell out, because today is not anything major. I will say that you can probably take that time and do that.
What we're saying is we're not going to get into a fight, so we're not worrying about semantics.
Yeah. Hopefully we're not going to get into a fight.
Unless those
Unless
scorpions come
communing with
upstairs.
dead goes horribly wrong. Well, the corpse must still have a mouth.
It does still
has
have a
jaw.
mouth.
Okay,
Doesn't have any.
cool. Okay.
I suspect the dog is playing or something.
Don't sound sorry.
Must be a cat on her back. Yeah, it's cats.
Okay.
So, you cast a spell.
Yep.
You have, I think, 5 questions.
Yes. Until the spell ends, you can ask up to 5 questions. Under no compulsion, blah blah blah.
So, you cast the spell, and you can sort of feel this energy, this life essence, seep into the bones as the corpse sort of rattles, and the head just kind of rights itself. The jaw clacks into place and lifts up and stares at you with this sort of faint white glow in the empty eye sockets, and just looks at you.
Who were you, Tauren?
I was Long Walker Kowal.
We wish to give you your final rest. Is there any request that you would have?
Burn my body at Thunder Bluff.
Are there any that you would wish for us to inform?
My High Chieftain, Cairn Bloodhoof, tell him I died performing my duty.
Indeed. I will see that this is done.
We got one more.
Technically 2 more.
You
Because
do?
I asked who he was, I asked
Yes, you've asked 3. You have 2 more.
how he wished, and I asked who wished to be informed. When did you die?
During the construction of Orgrimmar.
It's been a minute.
Construction. That's been a while.
It's been a few years.
Yeah. Huh. Why was he here? Yeah, one more question.
What did you do here?
I kept watch and scouted the land for dangers to the building city. And with the 5th question asked, the breath that was offering the skeleton the chance to answer questions fades, and the corpse slumps back into the position it was seated in. Cannot be used again for 10 days.
Alrighty then. Well, I suppose I should be going off to Thunder Bluff at some point.
I will join you for that.
He
If you don't
nods. I suppose from a logistics standpoint it would be best to get this out of the way as soon as possible, so may as well leave sooner rather than later. Is there anything else that... Is there any of the paperwork or whatever that would need to be returned at this point?
You've handled most of it. It'll be filed soon. It seems like everything's mostly in order.
How far is Thunder Bluff?
It'd be a good week or 2 to ride, but there's a Zeppelin that flies between Orgrimmar and Thunder Bluff regularly that takes maybe 8 hours.
Is there one of the teleport stations there?
Yeah, you can get a portal between Orgrimmar and Thunder Bluff. That's just more expensive.
I'm sure if we talked with someone, we could work out some kind of a way to travel for a little bit less money, considering the fact that this is just to, you know, give a body its final rest. I imagine if we talked to a shaman or something, we could work something out there.
How much would it be to get there?
See what I can find. There you are. it would probably be about 100 to 150 gold for the use of a portal, whereas for a Zeppelin, it would probably be 5, maybe 10 for the trip to Thunderbluff.
We should speak with a shaman first, I think. If they have some sort of way already of moving bodies over there, then I imagine it would be best to go with that. Also, I know that there's a certain reputation about goblins and all that, but I still think they would be slightly suspicious of us just randomly bringing a dead body onto a Zeppelin. Just saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
May they may not.
you probably wouldn't have to hide the fact that you were carrying a body for last rites.
I mean, yes.
I mean,
Do we really want to go on a Zeppelin?
The horde as a nation sort of
don't have
respects
to go.
that.
They can just go.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, as far as
I can
transporting a
stay back
body
and
for last rites,
Keep,
if there's
keep
any...
fixing the building.
The horde is not a bureaucracy. There's not going to be a whole lot of paperwork that gets in your way with transporting a body.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, the only stuff they need confirmation in paperwork stuff is stuff that affects the city or the nation as a whole. Like, I need to dig large tunnels through our defensive wall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so we can go off and do that then.
Now we're joining for that.
Cool. And the Zeppelin, you said, would take a couple...
About 8 hours for a trip. It's like a plane flight.
Yeah, yeah. We can go ahead and do that. Hopefully we won't really need everyone coming along for that, I don't think.
Probably not.
I'm staying here.
Yeah.
So
The
So-
troll's not getting on a Zeppelin.
Yeah. So Brick and I will go ahead and...
I will foster relations
Deal with
with
that.
Scorpion.
So most of you take a day of rest here. Sort of start getting things set up. Anyone want to go shopping for like furniture and stuff? Because this fortress is pretty barren.
Before we go, I'm going to set up a sigil of transportation.
She wants to talk to
Good
Josh
idea.
about
Just
Talk about
not the
furniture.
permanent one, just the
I'm not picking out China with you, babe.
10.
10?
Do I have that yet?
I think you might be one level short.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
She's gonna ask
That'll be
Josh,
next level.
is it
So
possible
never mind about that.
to knock down like one of the walls between like two of the rooms to make one
Make a big-
giant room?
Giant room for this Shiana.
So his name was Longstrider something, I forget what it was.
Strider,
I want to fix up
Kobold?
the outside walls
Longstrider
first.
Co-op.
Co-op.
Before I do any major construction.
I want to take the largest room. There isn't one. I'm going to make it.
You can scratch the walls down a little bit on one side, so it's a little bit, so the interior is about 1/8 of an inch.
You start sanding it down.
There is an orc here who's proficient with stonemason's tools.
If you want to.
So, well, they're concerned about that sort of stuff.
And also, before we leave as well, I'm going to go ahead and just run the gamut of detection on these ruins just in
Did
case.
you just
so
say gamut?
Yes. You
The
did.
gamut.
the gamut.
The gamut.
You know who I'm related to. I'm related to you. I'm related to Taylor. I can't pronounce things.
That's fine. I'm making
Yeah,
sure you're
the
aware.
gamut. I run the gamut of detection,
The
so
gamut.
detect good and evil, detect poison, detect magic. Are there any weird magical anomalies? Is there any weird evil?
Yeah, there's no good and evil here. There's no magic.
I'm sure detect poison gets me a lot.
Yeah,
but-
like you detect poison and down below the floorboards, scorpions.
Though it doesn't go through a whole lot of earth, but I imagine the one's closer to the surface.
Yeah, when you look down at like where the tunnels are at, like where the scorpions have their burrow, it's just like, oh yeah, there's poison down there.
Cool. Just making sure, so that I'll, leave the party and suddenly they get attacked by haunted evil spirits.
No.
Yep, next level exactly.
Exactly next level. Yeah.
And you do not get to judge grammar. Or pronunciation.
Oh no, absolutely get to judge grammar.
Yes. No, you don't get to judge pronunciation after earlier today.
Did you bring the floor plans with you?
Chopstick, Austin.
I meant to say chopstick.
I'll leave the floor plans here,
Do you
basically.
have any chopstick in this car? Oh, I meant chapstick.
So how much land do we have around this building?
It all comes with basically from the edge of the from the edge of the Thunder Ridge to where it meets the edge of the South Fury, for about 100 feet out from the back of the fortress. So you've got a good acre or two, basically.
How's the soil?
It's Duratar. It's dry. It's clay.
We can
What
grow
grows around here?
Brush,
aloe,
aloe, cacti.
succulents. Oh yeah, barrel cactus.
Huh.
Cactus apples are a regular fruit. Cactus apple surprise is a pretty common dessert.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
deserts are my favorite terrain, so I would definitely know what sort of.
Yeah,
But
it's mostly succulents and shrubs.
Oh, what's that stuff they in Mexico? Oh shoot! It's a kind of succulent. It has the needle on the end of the leaves. They make a lot of alcohol out of it. And
agave?
Is it that it? But and then the needles they use for sewing because it has natural fibers connected through the leaf, and you can actually strip them and make stuff with those. If we can grow a bunch of that stuff.
That sounds very thematically fitting for me, at the very least.
I mean, yeah, because
we've got some room.
It's just for making.
How close are we to the lake? Or is that the other side?
Probably about it's probably a 5-6 minute walk from the edge of the fortress to the lake.
Okay, so it's not close enough that we could do any sort of elaborate watering system. So we would definitely have to plant.
Sure, we could.
It'd just be elaborate.
Okay, we can
A
make
5 to 6 minute walk. That's about half a mile.
No, but we can make a.
I got a sigil for that.
Oh,
You
yeah.
got a sigil of what?
A what?
Cleansing.
What does it do?
This rune must be placed upon a piece of stone or wood that is native to the area that is affected by the rune, and that stone or wood must be buried. When empowered, the wave of positive energy bursts out and restores the land and improves crop productivity.
It says restores so it improves the productivity. It doesn't. There's nothing to restore. This land was always like this, right?
Yeah, generally.
But it would increase crop productivity.
Yes.
Yes.
So it would make cactuses grow better, but you wouldn't spontaneously be able to, grow an orchard.
Yeah. So I'm going to create an array of plants to feed, not only to feed an array of creatures, but to foster wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
You know my thing. I've been collecting seeds and plants. One of those weird scarlet leaf trees. Do I feel like that would grow here?
Probably not.
Okay.
You might be able to make it grow, but it probably wouldn't grow naturally.
All right. And given my nature style, I'm going to do much more of the set the brush under the large plants type thing rather than trying to foster a manicured garden. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
You ever seen the Native American, in the North American areas where they would do they would grow squash bushes under the corn because the corn would raise above it, and the squash bushes and the beans below it would simultaneously release nutrients, that sort of thing.
Yeah. It's just arranged so that the plants work well together.
And that's a 15 nature check.
Yeah, you managed to plant some seeds. It'll take some work. It'll take
Obviously,
some
it'll take work and time, but
But
my concern as who I am is, if we're going to survive here, we need to make sure we have easy access to food, water. How difficult would it be to... Is the lake the nearest access to water we have?
the South Fury River is it's a little bit longer of a walk, but you're more likely to have access to good water rather than stagnant water that's been saved.
Right.
Cool.
How
How
far is
hard
that
would it
again?
be to build a channel?
South Fury River is probably about a mile from the fortress. You've got a couple of acres of land,
Right. Yeah.
and it's at the edge of it because the South Fury River is the marker of the end of your territory going west.
Okay.
So if
So we can get
could we use this coda we've got?
Well-
could I arrange to make a channel to get running water to the? Not like
Just
I'm not
piping?
talking anything crazy. I'm not talking a full aqueduct. I'm just talking about
Well, we could actually do an aqueduct in a couple of days.
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah.
This is the troll. I want to make sure we have access to water.
Yeah, you can dig a ditch that'll drain some water a little bit closer, so you can.
Yeah. I'm diverting a small stream.
We can.
If the goblin wants to improve it, that's fine. So yes, that is my day while they're delivering the corpse. I'm going to be farming and doing that, as well as making sure the animals are accustomed, and I'm going to make sure before at about 24 hours later to fish another one of those beasts from the lake for the Scorpionox.
What do you got up your sleeve?
I gotta figure out that heart thing first. Is that still electrical? I mean, electric charged? If
Yeah,
I
it's
handle
got
it
an amount
with
of charge.
leather. I just gotta.
Yeah. Roll me an engineering check with your intelligence.
Engineering is that one, right? Yes. Okay. 24.
If you can find a way to preserve this, it'll continue to maintain a low-level charge, which won't be enough to power anything big, but could serve to power like a small device or just charge small batteries over time. But if you don't figure out how to preserve this within the next week or so, it'll probably go dead.
Okay.
Now that it's not in a saltwater
Right.
submersion.
Does that create a saltwater submersion? Saltwater heart batteries?
Yeah, what do I know about batteries? So, actually, I could build a battery out of. I need to get some copper and some.
That is something that you will have to worry about, though. Is the South Ferry River runs fresh, but the water that sits along this clay will pick up a good deal of salt.
Right. Yeah. That's the other reason for having tubes and pipes.
Because it's red clay with a nice white dusting, sort of like the Last Jedi moment of the look, sir, salt.
Yeah.
So what were you saying? I needed to do sand down a wall?
You can ask Garrick to knock a wall down for you.
Yeah, I feel like it's
Yeah, but
easier.
we
to
only
say.
have so many rooms. I don't think Garrick is going to go
8 or
along.
10 rooms up there.
How
We
many
got 6
rooms?
people.
There are 8 rooms on the
8
fourth
rooms until
floor.
the 4th floor.
Okay,
There's 6 of
there are
us.
just 6 of us.
He can make it 7 rooms if you so
But we
desire.
need to have
I
2.
feel like it wouldn't take too much to convince him.
Okay, she'll convince Garrick to help her.
Just roll me a persuasion check, just to see.
Why do you need the larger room?
I have no charisma.
She wants to be in her room.
Hold on, that's leaning.
I would say if she just.
That's worse.
If that's a load-bearing wall, I will laugh.
2?
And by I will
Good.
laugh, I mean I'll laugh when I get back.
You rolled a natural 1. So, all right, let me see what I can do. And
Wouldn't it be easier to just make a door between the two?
yeah, but if she wants the wall knocked down, she can have the wall knocked down.
What if it's load bearing though?
He's proficient in masonry. He knows how to knock down a non-load bearing wall, and he knows how to check if the wall is load bearing. Yeah, one of the rooms has a wall between them that's not load bearing. It's just a division, so he can just go ahead and rip the wall down for you.
She also just wants to annoy Leaf by having the biggest room.
I see murderous Shiana is stepped out and petty Shiana has stepped in.
She's still
But she murdered
murderous.
out of pettiness.
Yes. And she just murdered that wall.
Yeah,
Garrick did it.
that'll be Garrick's activity for the day, is knocking down the wall and clearing it
And
out,
meanwhile, I'll be building up other walls, other places. I was going to work on
shoring up the building and
shoring up the
repairing.
buildings and stuff. Yeah.
Mm. So, you guys have your 8 hours of flight across.
Yeah, I guess if we knock the wall down properly, we can reuse the bricks somewhere else.
Oh yeah, he makes sure he's got that in mind. He makes sure
Yeah.
to conserve any of the materials that he takes down from the wall, so that he can
See,
use them for
positive
repairing stuff
ones.
outdoor.
And I have a giant room.
see it in a positive
And I
light.
have a giant room.
Seeing it in a positive light is becoming very
And you're the
difficult.
second smallest in the group.
So, the
No, she's bigger than Leaf.
Shorter but bigger.
I'm not.
But yeah, but you don't. you,
We probably weigh very similar amounts because
Because she's
you
lost
have,
that part.
you know, actual muscle mass, but you're shorter.
and also you're missing an arm.
you know,
That too.
It's probably only about 15 pounds or so.
Yeah.
So probably similar.
But yeah, you guys have your 8-hour trip, and for once, smooth sailing. Nice winds, open sky.
Yeah, the troll's not on board.
Sure.
You're able to just sit back and enjoy the wind as the zeppelin cuts across the sky towards Thunder Bluff.
I believe this is where Garrick would say that the spirits are being respectful.
Yes, he would say that, wouldn't he? I don't mind.
Honestly, I'm just glad that the curse at the very least isn't attached to me.
It might just be the troll.
Indeed, it might be invisible voice in the sky.
I have been chosen by the big metal hand in the sky. It's the Warcraft 3 joke. Sorry, I'm the only one who gets that.
Yes.
Just in case, is there any anything that I can use with the?
Yes, if you really need to, there are stuff that you could grab and use the glyph of falling. Glyph of safe fall.
Okay.
First I could commune with the light, then I learned to commune with the spirits. Now I commune with the DM.
Ultimate power.
The control indicator for the human player in Warcraft 3 was just a metal gauntlet.
Yeah.
So if you clicked on the paladin enough times, he would say, "I have been chosen by the big metal hand in the sky." So, which is hilarious because the orc indicator was a severed orc hand, like with the bloody stump and everything. You know, it's like,
Nice.
At the end of the 8 hours, it's approaching sundown, and your zeppelin comes into sight of Thunder Bluff.
Is Karen Bloodhoof still the
Roll me
leader
history.
of...
Roll me history.
That's a 19 on the dot. That's a 25.
Karen Bloodhoof is dead.
Yeah.
Karen Bloodhoof was killed in Makgora by Garrosh Hellscream.
That's right.
And his son, Bane, is now the High Chieftain of the Tauren.
So Bane Bloodhoof?
Yeah.
I guess I'll inform him. Somehow.
Or we can. Oh no! Would that spell you used work on it, even if there have already been sent?
You're pretty certain that Karen was cremated, so he
Yes.
doesn't have a body left to...
That's
Doesn't
what I
have a
mean.
mouth.
That's what I thought.
He definitely doesn't have a mouth at this point. But the Zeppelin approaches Thunder Bluff, and this is your first view of the city of the Tauren. You used to live here, so you're familiar. Thunder Bluff is a series of 3 massive mesas that rise a couple hundred feet into the sky. That have these stone mesas have like a flat top that is green with trees and grass, and these massive rope bridges connect them from these huge longhouses that are set up between them. There are gigantic lifts on either side of the central mesa that lead from the top of the mesas down, and the 3 rises are there's the central mesa, which is divided into the lower, middle, and high rise. There are 4 mesas. There's the central mesa, Elder Rise, which is where most of the elders and the civilians, like a lot of the elderly Tauren and a lot of the ritualism, a lot of the government takes place in Elder Rise. Hunter Rise is where a lot of the game, a lot of the marketplace like the central mesa is mostly where all like the main marketplace is, but the Hunter Rise is where a lot of the skinning, the tanning, the craftsmanship takes place. Spirit Rise is where all of the shamanism takes place. You know, it's where the pools of vision are, where some Forsaken commune with the Tauren and have a portal system set up beneath Spirit Rise, and the pools of vision again it's a small cave full of fungus and materials and pools that are used for that the Tauren use for meditation and for vision quests and sort of the materials to induce visions, and the Forsaken use to sort of maintain a nice dark damp atmosphere that they can be comfortable in and maintain the portal network for Thunder Bluff. You know that Elder Rise would be where you would find the High Chieftain's longhouse.
Okay.
But the Zeppelin, the Central Mesa is the largest of the four, and that's where the massive Tauren totem-shaped tower that sort of connects all three mesas is at, or all three of the other mesas, because the central tower is basically the central post for all three of the massive rope bridges that connect to the other four. And then there's like a longhouse at the edge of the mesa to connect as well, but this is where like most of the ropes tie up to keep it stable. You connect here, and they're the lower, middle, and high rise. The central mesa is divided on 3 levels, which is the primary purpose of the tower, is to connect all 3 of those rises. And it emerges and drops you off by the Zeppelin tower is right next to that giant, that central pillar. And you emerge onto Thunder Bluff.
Welcome to Thunder Bluff, please.
It's a beautiful sight. Like, the mesa looks over Mulgore, which is a green grassland with the very sparse but still definitely present tree life. And it's just like this sort of giant overview. There's plenty of wind to blow your hair, and the view is breathtaking as you can see out way into the distance from the top of the mesa.
Man, all these plateaus make me want to have a paraglider. But
Business before pleasure.
yes.
You might be able to find one in Hunter Rise.
I think I'll
An
leave
interesting idea, but an idea for later.
I think I'll leave you to that one.
Yes, yes. So where would I...
You'd want to be looking for Elder Rise probably to find the High Chieftain's longhouse.
I suppose we'll be heading off to Elder Rise then?
I start leading there then.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the Elder Council, you know, is the ruling council of the Earthen Ring. And also where the Cenarian Circle tends to gather. So you would typically either find Tauren leaders at Elder Rise, or potentially or on the high rise of the Central Mesa. Roll me a history check, Brick, to see if you know exactly where the High Chieftain's home is at.
History?
Yeah, it's on one of those 2 places, so.
Not my best, but...
It's not a high DC, you used to live here.
9.
9, that's good enough. You need to roll higher than 5.
Okay.
The High Chieftain's hut is actually, the High Chieftain's longhouse is actually on the high rise. The Elder Rise is where you'll find most of the Cenarian Circle and the Earthen Ring. But fortunately, you're near the high rise, because that's right where the the Wind Rider roost and the Zeppelin drop off.
Looks like we're heading to the high-rise, Leaf. Follow me. It's not too far from here. Oh, pencil. And we'll start heading that way.
You head down the steps of the Zeppelin Tower to the high rise, and you are greeted with a sort of a large open courtyard style area. There's a huge sort of central auditorium, open air, sort of like this small hole, like a small, very slight pit that has been dug into the ground of the central area with sort of like halves of logs that have been set out along the outside to serve as sort of seating for an auditorium environment, with a few totems that have been set off to the side to sort of mark the area. And there's a variety of different small huts that have been set here for different purposes, and then directly across from the tower is the sort of very large, very wide longhouse that you can only assume is the home of the High Chieftain.
Mm-hmm.
So, presumably you would go to look
Yeah,
there.
go make our way over there. Just kind of carrying a body bag between the two of us.
So, you
Beast.
make your way into the High Chieftain's longhouse, and as you approach, there are a pair of Tauren guards who are standing outside the door with a pair of halberds, who, not aggressively, just sort of raise hands and indicate, Ishneolo Pora.
I speak Tarahi.
It's a greeting. Yeah, it's the Tarahi greeting. And it translates to "May the days ahead be guided by the elders of long ago." It's a very long and fanciful. It's a greeting and a war cry at times.
Yes.
But it's sort of the pleasant hail and well met of the Tauren.
Mm-hmm. I go ahead and mirror it back, I guess. And again, in Tarahi, we were hoping to speak with, or perhaps inform, would it just be High Chief, or
The High Chief.
Or to possibly inform the High Chief. It was as in accordance with the last will of one Longstrider Koa.
Very well. The High Chieftain is in talks at the moment.
We can wait.
I will alert you when he is available.
Thank you.
He indicates to a spot over to the side where there are some benches that you can sit and wait on.
We go ahead and wait.
A few, 10, 15 minutes pass, and another Tauren, a black-furred Tauren wearing the garb of a shaman, sort of steps out and sort of looks up at the sky for a minute, doesn't seem to find what he's looking for there, shakes his head and continues walking. And the other Tauren sort of looks inside and mutters something.
What was his expression like? Did he seem frustrated, or...?
Mildly, not angry frustrated, but this isn't what I was looking for and I'm kind of hoping for something else frustrated.
The typical expression of someone who just came out of talk with a government official, basically.
But the guard kind of looks in, mutters something, gets an affirmative, turns back around and nods to the two of you and waves you over.
Go ahead and walk up.
Yeah.
So you step through, and inside you find, sort of sitting cross-legged on an animal skin, is a relatively young-looking Tauren, all things considered. He has the sort of the youthful face of someone who has not seen too many years. His horns sort of reach out and curve gently to the front. They are black in coloration. The rest of his fur is brown with some faint spots of white. He wears the totems of the chieftain that sort of curve up and out from his back that are worn by the chieftain of the Bloodhoof tribe, along with the feathered headdress that sort of reaches up and back. There is sort of a heavy mace on his left side that looks to be not of Tauren make, but rather of Dwarven, if you had to take a guess. Along with a large heavy belt with like the symbol of the Horde and fur outline, with these leather bracers and breeches. As he looks up, I greet the two of you. I am Bane. I was told you wished to speak with me.
Yes. I sort of indicate to the body that we have to inform you of the passing of one Longstrider Koa. His death was long ago and only just recently discovered, but...
It was many years ago. I was barely more than a cub when Longstrider Koa was last heard from.
Then you knew him, or at least of him?
I knew of him, as a chieftain and a chieftain's son must know all of the Longstriders.
Indeed. His body was found at Spike Ridge Fort. Evidently, he was there during the construction of Ogrimmar.
A strange place to find his body. The fort was occupied until long after the construction was completed. One would think a body would have been found before then.
Well,
asked him how he died when you had that spell up, did you?
he said he died performing his...
Duty.
He simply informed that he died performing his duty. But, of course, as often is with speaking with the spirits of such nature, the answer was somewhat vague. The fort has since then fallen into heavy disrepair. Many scorpions have taken up residence there, so it is unclear exactly what may have happened.
I wonder about these circumstances. Still, it is good that you have brought him to us, so that he may be properly burned and given last rites, as is appropriate to one of our tribe.
Indeed. And if there are any that you would wish for us to inform, or as you would inform.
I will see to the information, I will see to the notification of his remaining kin.
Now, Spike Ridge Fort itself has recently come under the ownership of our guild, and that is why we found Longstrider Koa. And should you wish for any investigation to be done as to perhaps how he may have died, then we would be more than willing to comply with that.
Any information you may glean would be appreciated.
And will be given as soon as we may be able to find it.
I offer my thanks and the gratitude of the Tauren people. To know that one of our own was left so long without proper last rites and burning is a great dishonor.
But one that's may be atoned for now.
Indeed. The hospitality of Thunder Bluff is yours should you require it for the evening, my friends.
I can't imagine we'd be staying too long, but it is indeed a beautiful city. One that I would very much like to see.
You are welcome to it. Enjoy the winds of the mesas. Take some time, some meal, some drink before you depart.
Thank you.
I will, at the very least, see to it that you are given food and water for your trouble.
It will be appreciated.
Very well.
Go ahead and give a farewell for Torahi, whenever that may come out to be.
Yep. It's, another one that is also a greeting is Deyashu Shaman, which is so it will be. It serves as both greeting and departure.
Mm-hmm.
And so the two of you depart and are led by one of the guards to a place where you can get food and drink. The expenses paid for you
Mm-hmm.
in exchange for your service.
I go ahead and try something uniquely Tauren, something that I haven't seen anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Anything you're doing?
Corn silk tea. Because the bulls won't drink that.
I actually kind of like the corn silk tea.
I didn't
I
like
mean,
it.
hey, if you want it.
I'll get.
It's like drinking bland popcorn. But in the best possible way.
I think I'll join him with something very traditionally Tauren, just since it's not something that I normally get. I guess.
Around Orgrimmar, yeah?
You know, well, for all times.
Yeah.
For all times' sake.
Um,
Get a little taste of home.
Well, there's a variety of different alcohols that the Tauren brew. They are well, they're well known for their sort of berry and herbal ales, but aside from that, they also have a pretty solid record of mixing sort of milk and eggs with alcohol. They make a very solid nog. There's, aside from that, as far as food goes, their meat, they tend to subsist rather well on plainstrider, which is a very gamey poultry. That they are very good at preparing with a variety of herbs and spices.
Oh yeah, ran into one of those and threw it into a river.
They do some very good seasoning of poultry with the variety of herbs and spices that they grow unique to Mulgore and Thunderbluff. And they can, well, along with those, they can make a very smoky sort of dark ale that's very good with like Thunderbloom bulb, which provides a very nice sort of woody aftertaste that is pleasant. It's everything that the Tauren make is designed to be serene and pleasing. Its strength is always subtle. If it's got a lot of alcohol in it, it doesn't kick you. It's just very smooth and warms the body as it goes down.
It lays you down to bed rather than knocking you down.
Yeah.
It cradles you for a bit and then...
Yeah, just very gently sets you down with a kiss on the cheek.
Yes.
An interesting analogy, okay.
So, you get some nice drinks and nice food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything else you'd wish to see, Lee, before we depart back?
Well, whatever interesting sights there are to see. Not every day I have an excuse to see a new place. Lead on.
Okay. Alright, then what would be a good place?
Well, there's a variety. You imagine
Kitty.
that
Something that Leaf would like.
he might enjoy a look at the pools of vision, honestly.
Ooh,
Stick
that
him
sounds
there.
fancy.
So you take him over to Spirit Rise, and then there's a small like curving walkway that curves around the outside of the rise and drops down beneath the floor of the mesa, and then leads to a cave that's in the side of the mesa wall.
I sort of, as we're traveling, do what I do occasionally, where I'll just sort of tranquilly sort of embrace the holy light and sort of see how the spirits react to it and how they sort of see me and sort of observe them observing me, sort of.
Roll me a wisdom check.
Just raw
Spirit check.
raw spirit check?
Yep.
20.
20. The spirits here are calm and easy, as the Tauren themselves are. The land here is at peace more than most, and you sort of get this calm observation of the spirits watching one who is familiar with the light, which is something that they have seen before, even if it is not common here. And you get the sense that the light, in whatever form, is still found here in Thunderbluff, even if they don't call it by the same name as you might.
Do I feel like there's probably more of a presence here than, say, in Ogremar?
Almost certainly.
Because other than the Tauren, what kind of races frequent around here?
Tauren and Forsaken are the two races that are around Thunderbluff the most.
Out of the Horde races, probably only the Blood Elves are...
Would practice the light as you know it, yeah.
Yeah. But the Forsaken would also occasionally, even if
Occasionally.
it...
Partial. Like, it's not a common practice among the Forsaken anymore.
Yeah. Interesting.
But as he leads you down, he leads you into this cave in the side of the mesa of Spirit Rise, and you find yourself stepping into a cave that would be dark, except it's got this sort of like teal, blue, greenish, faint light to the interior. And as you step inside, you see that light is sort of rising from these placid pools that mark the interior of this cavern. There's like a wooden plank bridge that's been set from the entrance to cross over one of the main pools. And as you look around, you can see this faint mist of teal, blue, green, and this faint light emerging from the waters. As you see, all around these waters, there are a variety of large mushrooms that are growing around the area, and you can see not only a couple of Tauren, but mostly a large number of Forsaken sort of wandering, tending to the mushrooms, tending the pools, and occasionally a Tauren shaman will walk through, sort of gather a handful of mushrooms or sit in front and commune in front of the pools of vision. It's a very serene place, and it doesn't have that sense of darkness that you typically associate with places like Undercity. It's definitely dark and damp, but it's more of a comforting sense rather than a oppressive or unnatural sense of darkness.
So it's more so a place where the Forsaken would go to sort of feel the tranquility of life rather than reveling in the advantages of undeath.
Sort of. It's sort of a tranquil place that lies between life and death, because all that grows here is fungus, and there's the placid waters of the pool that are still but not stagnant. This place is about as still as life gets.
Looking at the pools, like just seeing the spirits, or perhaps you mentioned more of a presence of the light, what kind of a vibe am I getting from the pools just in general?
The pools of vision are a place, as far as you can tell, they're a place of communion of whatever sort. This is a place where it is possible to open the mind to see whatever it is that you wish to commune with. The light, the spirits, potentially a warlock could come here and have easier communion with the Burning Legion and spirits of the Twisting Nether. But you imagine they wouldn't be the most welcome here.
Yeah, I imagine it wouldn't really jive with their whole aesthetic of burning the world and all.
But this place appears to be a place of communion.
So what do you think, Leaf?
I think it's a bit of a shame that we couldn't have set up a guild hall closer to this. I sort of... So you said it's mostly Forsaken?
Yeah, there's a handful of Tauren, but this is the heaviest concentration of Forsaken in Thunderbluff.
I sort of just take a little bit of time meditating to sort of focus a bit more on that sensation generally as well, because I've seen a lot of places that are, strong with the lights and a lot of places that are strong with the spirits, but never both. So I'm going to try to focus into a little bit more on how those feel together, basically.
And as you focus on that, and as you sort of open your senses to the area around you, you look around, and eventually everything that you're seeing begins to fade away as you begin to experience a vision. And that's where we're going to end for the week.
Oh boy.
Say goodbye, everybody.
Farewell.
Goodbye.
Bye.